Gilmore MetroPark is in Butler County on the east side of Fairfield, Ohio. It is nestled along a railroad line and has many ponds and swamp-like areas. This is my experience traveling there on bicycle. Obviously, I sped up the footage. This is near Jungle Jim's grocery store, which is a somewhat famous landmark in Fairfield, Ohio. Unfortunately, there are very few bike paths to take, so you hope that people follow the law and give you space on the road. I believe I'm going past Fairfield Middle School to the right. That train line is heavily used, and you'll get to experience a full train as I stop later in the video. After this intersection is a National Guard location. After the power station is where the park is. Most of the park has a walking path. It's basically a loop that goes around the entirety of the park. Most of the path is grass, whereas the initial path closest to this parking lot is rather unique. It is actually floating and almost like a swamp-like area. So basically, it's plastic filled with air. And I'm a rather large, sizable person. So if I'm 280, I sink quite a bit in when walking across this. So I was down to about my ankles when I was walking across this floating path. I've seen other people find large turtles and other objects or animals like that around this area. Now, that was unique, finding the floating path. I had never heard of that before, but I don't think I'll go back. What I did find on the grass pathway going around the wetland areas, I did see several people walking their dogs. This is okay for bicycling if you have a mountain bike. Obviously, a road bike doesn't work well with this. But the park is really situated well for people walking their dogs that can do about a mile loop or more, or people kayaking and doing fishing. I did see a lot of waterfowl and the most crayfish that I've ever seen in my life. I think these photos give a good indication of it being a very swampy-like area for a place like Ohio. This is very close to the Milk Creek, but it's not on the Milk Creek. So this is one of the ponds that's on the east side of the park. And this is exactly where I saw a ton of frogs and crayfish in this area. So the crayfish would come up to the surface and basically from under the water pick off all the floating detritus and possibly insects and things like that and eat them. So that's exactly what you're seeing in this shot right here. Now with my eyes I could probably see several dozen crayfish. So let's say there was one every 2 feet that I could see. That was obviously way more than I'd seen in any other location. Other things, obviously, I saw some butterflies, frogs, toads, ducks, geese, other birds. Now this is the exit on the other side of the park. There's one entrance on the basically northwest side of the park and another the exit or entrance on the south side. So I came in on the northwest side and kind of did a loop and then went out the south side. Unfortunately, there isn't a great deal of good walking paths or bicycle paths getting to this location. Ideally, you'd take your vehicle and bring your dog or your kayak and visit this part. It looks like there is a lot of fuel and other containers like that on this train. If you've ever been next to a full-size train, they're very loud. Overall, this was a fairly easy bicycle ride of a couple miles to go through. If you're in central Fairfield, Ohio, it's a pretty easy bike ride or drive. Again, the main things to do there are walk for a short distance, walk your dogs, or bird watching or kayaking.